Episode 137 是啥？
Okay, never mind. I already entered in without a number. Later I will edit. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه في كل لحظة أبدا عدد نعم الله وفضله. اللهم آتنا من لدنك رحمة وعلمنا من لدنك علما. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نوينا تعلم وتعليم وتذكر وتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم ودعاء إلى الهدى والدلالة على خير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى مع لطف وعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني مشرب صافي الهني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني مشرب صافي الهني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني مشرب صافي الهني يا وهاب يا غني. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين. Amin, 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 ya Rabbal Alameen. We will do a very short class today. I will have to stop at 5 a.m. at Fajr itself, right? Because there was a janazah. There's a janazah. Here, one of the people in the community that we've been visiting and so on. She passed away. So inshallah, very short class today. Inshallah, next week I will continue, in a longer class, inshallah. Allah, alhamdulillah. So I have to rush off to see the janazah, right? Inshallah, after Azan, I'm gonna pray and go off to see the janazah, inshallah. Okay, alhamdulillah. We finished, right? Now, we have finished the 9 ayahs of the prayer, and now we are on the sunnahs of the prayer. Correct? Now we are on the sunnahs of the prayer. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. قال المؤلف رحمه الله تعالى ونفعنا الله به وبعلم في الدارين. من كتاب التزكية الحضرمية فيما يجب على النساء من الأمور الدينية، تأليف العلامة سيد محمد بن سالم بن حفيظ العلوي الحسين الحضرمي الشافعي رحمه الله تعالى ونفعنا الله به وبعلمه في الدارين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سنن الصلاة. سنن الصلاة كثيرة، منها ما يسن الدخول فيها كالإقامة وسوى دخول فيها بنشاط وفراغ القلب، ومنها ما يسن بعد الدخول فيها، وذلك مثل رفع اليدين عند تكبيرة الإحرام وعند الركوع وعند الاعتدال وعند القيام من التشهد الأول، ووضع اليمين على الشمال وجعلهما تحت صدري، ودعاء الافتتاح وتعوذ وجهر في مواضع الجهر، وليكن جهر المرأة أخفض من جهر الرجل، ولا تجهر بحضرة الرجال الأجانب، والإصرار في موضعه، والتأمين وقراءة السورة وتكبيرات الانتقال والتسبيح في الركوع والسجود، وقول سمع الله لمن حمده، ووضع اليدين على الفخذين في جلوس مع نشرهما إلا في جلوس التشهد، فإنها تبسط اليسرى وتقبض اليمنى إلى المسبحة فإنها تشير بها متشهدة، والافتراش في جميع الجلوس، وتورك في جلسة الآخرة الأخيرة وتسليمة الثانية والالتفات في التسليمة الأولى يمينا وفي الثانية شمالا. تمام. Chapter on the sunnahs in the prayer. He just listed a few sunnahs. So as mentioned, that this book is it is a beginner's book, right? So he didn't go so into the sunnahs and mentioned so many sunnahs. A book that if you want to refer to the sunnahs of the prayer, I would recommend a book, مقدمة حضرمية. Right, so مقدمة حضرمية, not تذكرة الحضرمية, but مقدمة حضرمية. It sounds the same, right? Or the name sounds the same. Right? But مقدمة حضرمية would be a book that would have more focus on the sunnahs of the prayer. Right. So right. So the sunnahs of the prayer are many. Right? The many sunnahs of the prayer, right? There are those that are sunnah right, before the entering into the prayer, and those that are sunnah during the prayer. Okay, so before entering the prayer, and there are those that are sunnah during the prayer. So such as up here, such as let me just number them so it's easier for us to follow. Right, so such as al-iqama, I was saying, right, saying the iqama. Right, so note here, what do you see here? That because this book is meant for women, right? So for women, right, we do not say the adhan, right? But we do the iqama. Okay, right, but we can do, I'll say we can do. Okay, right. So azan is something that is specifically for men, right, not for women to do. Allahu alam. Right. Just without any reason for us to go into. Right. So it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. Right. That it is for men to do without women. Okay. Without for and not for women to do the iqamah for the prayer. Okay, so saying the iqamah, that's number one. And then siwak. Okay, number two. Right, let me just bring this down. Okay, number two is to use the siwak. Right, and the hadith of Rasulullah said, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, 2 rak'ats, right, with the siwak, right, is better than 70 rak'ats without the siwak. And I'll go into all of this, inshallah. I'm just going to type it out first. I'll type out the entire chapter first, and I'll go into all of it, inshallah, with the narrations and the explanation and so on. Right. So and third one is to enter it with full energy. Right. So to enter it with full energy and enthusiasm. Okay, so not to be lazy and reluctant when you come into the prayer, right? But to come to the prayer with full energy and enthusiasm. Right. Number four, right, to enter if to empty the heart of anything, of everything besides Allah. Okay, this of the sunnah. You say, how come this one is sunnah? Shouldn't be wajib. It is okay. If it was wajib, then how many of us are sinful, right? If it was wajib, how many of us are sinful? Right? That we come into the prayer and our heart's not empty of everything besides Allah. So now it's under sunnah. It's under sunnah because otherwise everybody will be sinful right now. Subhanallah, it is a difficult thing to do. But we should try to achieve this sunnah. Right, so this brings about khushu' and hudur. Right, khushu' and hudur. Okay. Tamam. Okay, tamam. Right. This is actually adab with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right. Adab with Allah. Because like, can you imagine, if you have um like you have a meeting with someone, for example, a meeting with someone, and this person comes to the meeting all lazy and reluctant, and like you see, for example, right? You have a meeting with someone, you want to give them gifts, you want to give them, financial aid or something, or so on, or like in our situation, in our community, if you want to go for an interview, for example, let's to give a dunyawi example, and someone comes and they're not prepared, they're so lazy, they're so lethargic, they keep yawning, they show so much reluctance, they want to get it over and done with. And it all shows in their body language, right? It all shows in their body language, right? So like, like even as a human being, you just wanted to get this person out of your house, out of your office, right? Because she's so much bad etiquette, like so terrible, the way you come to my house and you speak to me, and you keep yawning and keep looking around and you're fidgeting and you're not present and everything. I mean, as a human being, we get upset, right? If someone does that. So reflect and see how many times have we done that towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with our prayer. Like come, rush through, get it over and done with, and then yawn and yawn and yawn and yawn, right? And then, show complete disinterest in what you're doing, like complete, just being, just not even focusing that He is watching you, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so on. Right? So these are all the adab with regards to the prayer that we need to that we need to look after, or care for, look after when we perform the prayer. Okay, so this will be the sunnahs, and I will go through all of them, inshallah, one by one. But I want to write down all of that is in the section first. As mentioned, we only have these few sections left before we end the section on fiqh, right? This is fiqh actually ends with dua kunut, right? And then the fourth section, which is the tazkiyah, right? Purification of akhlaq and the self. Okay, right. Then he goes into وَمِنْهَا مَا يُسَنُّ بَعْدَ الدُّخُولُ فِيهَا. Then there's a sunnah during the prayer, like right, for example. Okay, now we used to do all the others. For example, رفع اليدين عند تكبيرة الإحرام. I do raise the hands when saying the takbiratul ihram. Okay, and that's the first to say the hands when mentioning the takbiratul ihram. Right, and then to say the and to وعند ركوع, and to raise them again when bowing, right? Bowing basically ruku. Okay, so raise your hands up by your ears, and I'll go through, as I mentioned, I'll go through all of it. Right, وذلك مثل رفع اليدين عند تكبير الإحرام وعند الركوع وعند الاعتدال, right? And to raise them again when standing back up after ruku', right? For i'tidal. Okay, so i'tidal is basically the standing after you ruku', you stand back up and you say Sami Allahu liman hamida, you raise your hands. Right, I will go through them inshallah in a while. And then وعند القيام من التشهد الأول, right? And to raise them again when you stand back up for the third raka'ah after the first tashahud. Good. Okay, and number 5, ووضع اليدين اليمين اليد اليمين على الشمال, and to place the right hand over the left hand during standing. Now, when you fold your hands in front of your chest, like during standing, like when you fold your hand in front on your chest, often on your chest. Okay, and number 6, right, and so to fold them below your chest, right? So this will be between, so for women, right, between the you see the breasts and the belly button. Okay, now, okay, so you actually fold your hands not above your chest or on your breast, and you don't bring it so low onto your belly button, right? So sometimes you see women, they place their hands very high up, right? Like at their heart or something, and there are just women who place it very low on the belly, right? But it is actually between. It's between, right? There's the sunnah is there, between. Okay, naam. Okay, and then dua al-iftitah, right? To recite dua iftitah, right? And then to say the ta'awuz, say ta'awuz, to raise the voice where the voice should be raised, right? Oh, we will go through inshallah. To raise the voice where the voice should be raised. نعم. Right. وَلْيَكُنْ جَهْرُ الْمَرْأَةِ, the voice, so to raise the voice where the voice should be raised in specific prayers. Right? So like for example, Subuh, Maghrib, and Isha, the voice is raised in the prayer. During the takbirah, when there is takbir, when you move in the prayer as the imam, to raise the voice. And there is a sunnah for women to do that as well if you are the imam. Right? But if you're the imam and there are no men around, because there are men around, the men are the imam. Right? And that the raising of the voice of a woman, right, should be softer than that of the men. That means you don't read the way men read, right? So if you're the imam, right, you know how the men read when they are imam, right? They go Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Like it's very loud the way the men do it. Right. So for women, you're praying, you say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, right? In that way. So it's loud enough for the people around you to hear you, right? But you're not gonna raise it, right? The way the men do. Okay, so it's more becoming of a woman, right? And you see, if this is the adab, the etiquette that women are that is on women when you are praying, then what more do you think, right? If what more do you think what more do you think, right, if people were not in prayer, right? Even when they're not in prayer and they want to uh and they're just talking amongst each other, and they're just hanging out, and they're going from place to place, and so on and so forth. Right? If in prayer already there is an adab of not raising your voice so high, right? So what do you think of, outside of prayer, right? Right. So it is of the etiquette of women, and it's of the shyness. Right? It's a praiseworthy shyness, right? She does not actually raise her voice so loudly, especially in public, but to keep it low, right? There is a dignity about it, to keep your voice low, right? So again, even when laughing, some women, they laugh really loudly, in public, so to try to control that, try to maintain maintain a gentleness, a softness, a dignity, and so on, right, about it. Okay. Naam, right. So raising of the voice of woman should be softer than that of the man. In fact, the behavior of a woman should be, they will say in Arabic, it will say altaf, right? Altaf meaning it should be more gentle. Okay, the behavior of a woman, it should be, you shouldn't be, like boisterous, or so loud in your behavior and you're talking, you're laughing and so on. As a woman, just maintain a, calmer behavior. Right? The raising of the voice of a woman should be softer than that of the men, right? And then, naam, right? So, uh, and also like ولا يجهر بحضرة الرجال الأجانب, like and not to raise the voice, like in the presence of non-mahram men. Okay, so so if you're praying in a place where like there are other people there, and there are like the men have prayed, for example, the men have prayed, and then now the woman want to pray, right? And there are people there who are not your mahram, right? So you're not to raise the voice when they are around. You can raise a little bit for the sake of the jama'ah, right? But not to raise so much in that, for them to listen to you and your recitation. So just, this closer towards, etiquette, right? So, mashallah. So a very clear example would be if you have a family gathering, and you have cousins around, and cousins are not mahram to you. So there are cousins around, there are like the spouses of your aunties, right? They're all not mahram to you. So you see the woman who to pray, right? Of course, it's best if somebody, the one who's praying, is a mahram, right, to all the men there. But if there's no one like that, then if the women are praying, they are to keep their voices low, right? So, mashallah. Nah, there was one time I was gonna pray my cousin Sister Marja in my house. It was in my house. And of course we always will come to a point where we argue who's the imam. Uh, we both want to be the imam on the other person. Right? But then eventually she said, because she would say, "Oh, you have more fiqh than me. You're stronger in fiqh than me." Then I'll be like, "No, it's not true." And I'll be like, "No, and you memorize the Quran. You should be the imam. You're the hafiz. Like, you memorize the Quran." I'll say that back to her. Then she said to me, the men in this house are mahram to you because of my brothers, right? Then I just kept silent. Okay. And she got a point. So that I became the imam. So that ever since then, I know the ruling, right? Just try to get her to be the imam. But I know the ruling. When she said that, the men in the house are mahram to you. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So you got me there. Right? So I couldn't make her be the imam because knowing that afdal, right, what is better is that the imam is a mahram, right, to the men in the house, and that she's not the mahram. Okay, now, tamam. So not to raise the voice in the presence of non-mahram men. And mashallah, there is actually a sequence of, by which a person, um, by which people are, this one, there is a sequence, by which people are chosen to be the imam, right? So the first criteria of being imam is to be afqahun nas, right? Afqah meaning the one with the strongest fiqh, right? The one with the strongest understanding of the religion. Okay, the one who is the most educated in fiqh, right? That should be the first person to be the imam, with, of course, with condition that her recitation of the Quran is correct. Right, so she is pronouncing letters correctly. Right, so in fact, in our society, we usually go by, age. The oldest person becomes the imam. That's not actually the criteria. The criteria is the most knowledgeable in fiqh, coupled with the most articulate in the Arabic language. Right? So in a sense, like articulate in pronunciation of the letters, right, of the Arabic language. So if there's someone there right, who is articulate, right, who can pronounce the ha correctly, can pronounce the ain correctly, can pronounce gha correctly, then this person not should but must, right, must be the imam, right, because the imam cannot be someone who does not pronounce the letters correctly, right, that cannot be the imam. Um, that is the criteria. And then there are further criteria. So that, for example, if everybody there, right, they're the same level with regards to their fiqh, right, then everybody there are the same level with regards to their pronunciation. Then comes the criteria of is there anyone amongst them who is Ahlul Bayt? Right? Is there anyone amongst them who is of the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Anyone who's a scholar, right? Scholar or someone who has memorized the Quran, right? So on and so forth. Then there's basically an entire, you say hierarchy, right? In which who becomes Imam, right? So sometimes, when I go to a gathering and so on, sometimes people, I've seen people who do have knowledge of this and they know, right? They are asatiza and they know of this ruling, with regards to the articulation, especially because if the imam does not articulate properly or correctly, then the prayer is not valid for the jama'ah, and that's a serious matter, right? So I've seen people who are like, they have a high level of fiqh, knowledge in fiqh, right? They articulate correctly, and in fact very well, right? But for some reason, they keep, not wanting to be imam, right? Out of some form of humility or some form of Allahu Alam what it is. Then they keep pushing other people forward to be the imam. Then the calamity is that other people who are more willing to be the imam, they don't actually recite well, right? And their pronunciations are all wrong. Right? And they're not even, educated very much in the fiqh, but they so happen to be older, and these people, they just go up front and try to be the imam. And by right, they shouldn't be the imam. They shouldn't, right? Because because they will be causing all of the other people's prayers to be invalid by their wrong pronunciation of the Quran, especially in Surah Fatiha. Right. So it's all like, and the blame goes on the person, right, who is actually articulate and actually knowledgeable in the religion, right? But for some, reason that it is misplaced humility. Right? It is misplaced humility, right? Because this will cost the validity of the prayer, right? So humility is something in the heart. It doesn't mean that, if you're imam, you are someone who is proud and arrogant. Right? And how many times, you've been imam and you're not the best person there in the jama'ah, right? There are people in the jama'ah who don't recite very well, but they're much better, right? In their iman, their Islam, and so on. They just said they can't pronounce very well. Right? But the fiqh of it is that if someone is there and she can pronounce well and she's, most knowledgeable in the fiqh of it, right? Then this person should be the imam, over the prayer. Anyway, let me continue, right, to the other situations here. Right, so what israr fi mawdi'ahi, right, and to recite, right, softly to one's self only, right, for prayers, right, prayers and parts that require. Required. So, for example, so sunnah of reciting softly, right, for Zuhur prayer, Asar prayer, and also like third and fourth rak'ah, and you don't raise your voice, and also the other zikrs in the prayer is all softly for yourself to hear, as you mentioned, for yourself to hear. Yes, so you have to have it go through your voice. You have to hear it. Now, what that mean? وقراءة سورة وتكبيرة الانتقال, right? So تأمين, right, to say Ameen, right, with the Imam after Surah Al-Fatiha, right, to recite another Surah after Surah Al-Fatiha. Okay. To recite Surah Al-Fatiha. نعم. And then to say the takbirs of movement. Right, so takbirs of movement meaning when you move in the prayer. So when you want to move into ruku, Allahu Akbar. When you want to stand back up, Sami Allahu liman hamida. When you want to go down into sujood, Allahu Akbar. All of these takbirs are sunnah. Right, they are sunnah. Right, the only takbir that is wajib is the first one. That is wajib. Right, so تكبيرة الانتقال والتسبيح في ركوع والسجود. Right, to do the tasbih, الذكر, right, during ruku' and sujood. We'll go through all of it. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سبحان ربي الأعلى بحمده, right, that we know of. And then وقولي سمع الله لمن حمده, right, and to say, right, سمي الله لمن حمده, right, when get standing up after ruku' for اعتدال. Okay, for اعتدال بس after ruku' for اعتدال. نعم, ووضع اليدين على الفخذين في جلوس مع نشرهما إلا في جلوس التشهد. Right, to place the two hands on thighs, right, during when sitting in the prayer, right, to have the fingers, how do you say this in English? To have the fingers straight, right, straight pointing towards the Qibla. Okay, for all the sittings, except during the tashahhud. Right, this will be the first and second tashahhud. Right, for tashahhud, what do we do? Right, as for tashahhud, as for during tashahhud, right, to clench the right hand with the pointer finger straight, right, straight out, but lowered, from the beginning, right, of the tashahhud. I'll explain all of it, inshallah. Okay, point the finger straight out. يصير على الفخذين في جلوس مع نشرهما إلا في جلوس التشهد فإنها تبسط اليسرى وتقبض اليمنى إلا المسبحة فإنها تشير بها المتشهدة. Right, so then to lift the pointer finger, right, at the point of saying illallah, right? So when you say ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, right? So at the point of the illallah, you raise your pointer finger. Now you raise your pointer finger at the point of illallah, and you leave your finger raised. Okay, and I'll draw inshallah in the next few lessons. I'll put some drawings to show how you raise it properly and the sunnahs of doing so and so on. Now, so illallah, right? So to raise it when you say illallah, and then والافتراش في جميع جلوسات, and to sit in iftirash. Shall I explain? In all of the sittings, right, except the final one, right, where you sit in tawarruk, right, for the final sitting, Right. So basically, and whatever is the final sitting before final sitting meaning right the sitting before the salams. Okay, so in tawarruk, right, in the final sitting before the salams, and to give والتسليمة الثانية والانتفاض في تسليمة الأولى يمينا وفي ثانية شمالا. Right, to do the second salams, right, is sunnah, right, and to turn the head right during the first salams and left during the second salams. Okay? All right. So these are the sunnahs that he has listed. The sunnahs in the prayer go more than 1,000. There are more than 1,000 sunnahs of the prayer. But I will explain them, inshallah, next week. Right? Because for now I have to go off to the janazah. Let me see. Okay, you can always refer to the YouTube if you need me to scroll up. Right, because you don't have to this is always on the YouTube. So you can always check the YouTube if you didn't get this one, the message the classes. And so if you get the points. Mm. If you're being an imam for your children who are still learning, um you you can be as loud as you want. If it's a point of teaching, you can be as loud as you want. Right? But for your boys, like place them in front of you. Right? For the boys, place them in front of you, not next to you. Girls next to you, yes. Boys in front of you. Right? And tell them that they are the imam, but you don't intend with them being the imam. Okay? You don't make them because they're too young and their prayers are not valid. Like, but as a training that boys do not stand behind the woman. Like, but boys actually stand by themselves in front. Right? That's one way you can do it. Especially if they're above the age of 7, right? So because it's not possible for the boys to be in the staff of the woman if they are above the age of 7, right? They should be in their own staff, right? So you place them in front of you. There are no men around there in front of you, and you say to them that they are the imam. But of course, you are praying, not following them because their prayer is not counted, right? But and you read out loud, right? And so they can follow you. A better way of doing it, right, is that you teach them outside of your prayer. So you make them pray in front of you and you are not praying. Okay, you have finished your prayer. You can pray first, right? And then you finish your prayer, then you watch them pray and you correct them, like where they are wrong. Okay, that will be a better way. Inshallah, I'll go through it, inshallah. Right. Now. Right. So in a sense, for scrolling to get the points, can you all please just check the YouTube? You can just check there. Um, uh, can someone who is baligh but younger than you be your imam? Of course, especially if they're more educated than you and they recite better. Right? Even someone who's not baligh, right, and their prayers are correct, right, they can be imam by all means. There's no issue. Okay. If the imam does not pronounce properly, you cannot actually pray jama'ah with that person. You cannot actually pray jama'ah with that person. So not even afdal, but it is wajib to not jama'ah with that person being the imam. Wajib. Right? Not even afdal, wajib. Right? Because your prayer is not counted. Okay. Point 14 was point 14. Point 14. Sorry. Point 14 to recite in the surah after Fatiha. Yeah, it's only for the rakats. It's only for the first rakats. Now, if you use the taste, unless are we in a place where it's too far to gargle. Okay, if you're using a siwak that has taste, right, and you can't get rid of a taste before you pray, then don't use it lah. Right. So if you know it's a new siwak, you know it's a fresh new siwak, right? Use it during wudu. Right? Use it during wudu if you're too far from to get rid of the taste. if you're doing wudu. If you're praying Jama'ah with your children who are girls, you can intend Imam for them, and they are mumayyiz. They are mumayyiz, it means they're beyond the age of 7. Yes, you can, right? You can intend to be the Imam, right? Sunnah ways of wiping the ears during wudu. Um, the ears is sunnah in the first place. To the ears is sunnah. So if you have an ear infection, you can skip the ears because the ears themselves are sunnah. The ears themselves are sunnah, right? So if you want to skip it, you can skip it if you want. It does not affect your wudu, right? So I'll repeat again, right? Can you all just check the YouTube if you need the points? Just check the YouTube. It's there, right? And you can pause the video now. So you and there are ways in which you can wipe your ears. I think I went through it during the sunnahs of wudu. If you go back to the lesson on the sunnahs of wudu, the lesson is there, right? On how you can wipe your ears during the sunnahs of wudu. Okay. But inshallah next week I will go through it again. Right, inshallah. The recitations during ruku and sujud, they are sunnah to say in the first place. Right? So in the first place to even say it is sunnah. To say it one time is sunnah. To say it 3 times is sunnah. It's all sunnah. Right? It's all sunnah. Right? How did it would do in public toilet with no host? You just do. You bring your feet up to the sink and you wash it. You just do. Right? You just do it. Right? It's not impossible. You can do it, or you can bring a container in or a bottle in, right? And then go into the cubicle and wash your feet. It's doable. It's doable. I've not found a single public toilet that I'm unable to go to in. It's doable. Right? It's just a matter of putting in the effort for it. The Imam sounds correct, but his other surahs can be off in pronunciations or missing words or memorized. Is it better not Imam to him or her? No, it's okay. It's okay. If the Fatiha is okay, then it's okay. You can be ma'mum. If the surahs are off, that's okay. As long as your Fatiha is correct. The Fatiha has to be correct. Okay? Now, okay, tamam. Inshallah, we will stop there for today. So today's, as I mentioned, today is a short lesson today. So we continue, inshallah, right, with the lesson next week. Okay, because today I have a janazah to get to, right? And inshallah, it won't be easy for all of us to apply what we have learned. And inshallah, I will go back, right? I'll go back onto the lesson and explain each and every sunnah of the prayer. Barakallahu fikum. Allahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. There's one question here. After I the Imam the surah, I don't remember the surah. Can you read the surah? Memorize. You're not supposed to be reading a surah, you're supposed to be listening. Okay? You're not supposed to be reading any surah, in fact, whether you memorize it or not. The only surah that you can recite while the Imam is reciting is Surah Fatiha, to get your Surah Fatiha in, right? But after you finish Surah Fatiha, you're not supposed to be reciting anything at all. But you're supposed to be listening to the Imam. Okay? Now, if the Imam doesn't know how to do after Salat, can the Imam do it? Yeah, you can. You can, no problem. You can. It's not an issue at all. But if you don't want to insult the Imam, or offend the Imam, then do it quietly. Right? But if you know the Imam's like this mind, you can do it out loud. Doing the dua after prayer out loud itself, right? It does not fall under a sunnah, right? But it is something that is done to educate. Right? So doing dua out loud after the prayer is done in a way of education, right? To educate people around you. But it's not even a sunnah, if you get it. It's not even a sunnah to actually do the dua out loud. But from the point of education, yeah, we do it. In our communities, we do it. So if someone chooses not to do it because they see that the people around them are educated in doing the duas by themselves, then that is permissible, and that is you say the original ruling. Now, okay. تمام. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. أنا الله يسلم منا وعافانا خاصة والمستعين الهدى ويسر لي أبا نبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وأرواح معلمين مشايخنا وزاوي الحق علينا وإلى حضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. الفاتحة. Yes, correct. If your husband is reciting a surah in the prayer, you should be quiet and listen. You're not supposed to be reciting. You're supposed to be listening to your imam. Only for Fatiha you recite. Right? Yes, correct. It's correct. You don't actually recite a surah when you are in Jama'ah. Barakallahu feekum, and bless you in your strivings, inshallah. Okay. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Jazakumullah khairan jazak, Ustazah.